Welcome to the Human Employee Podcast, where we make it our business to be in your business, with your hosts, Tamiko Williams and Sine Bate Mitchell.
Hi, I'm Tamiko.
And I'm Sunny. And welcome to the Human Employee Podcast.
Woo! Every time, right? All right, so let's get started.
So tell me, have you ever had a job offer, but you were still employed and you had to figure out how to tell your old job that you were out of there?
Yeah, I've had that happen. I've had that happen a couple times. It didn't go well for me.
No? Oh my God, what happened?
Oh my goodness, I don't even want to tell you. But first, let me say this. Don't panic, whatever you do. Because leaving a job to pursue a better opportunity can be scary. So I'm going to say yes to that. It's frightening.
Well, it can be probably a mixture of both. Frightening and excitement all in one.
Yeah, it can be exciting too. I mean, it's scary anytime you have to tell your boss, hey, I'm out of here. Because you don't know how they're going to react.
That's true.
You don't know if they're going to be like, oh, that's great, pat you on the back, or get the heck out of my office.
Unless you were afforded the opportunity where you have a good relationship already with that boss, or that boss knew that you were already pursuing a job. So then, of course, you don't have to deal with all of that drama.
Yeah, well, that would be, if you tell them in advance, yeah. But, you just, even sometimes when you have a good relationship with somebody, you just don't know how they're going to take it. Because they can some managers take that as a personal offense against them, Like, I taught you everything, I've helped you, you've been here, and now you're going to leave me,
Stab me in my back now?
Yeah, it's like, what? Who? Get her box.
How could they? Yeah.
They have a ready-made box already there for you.
Right, exactly.
You're like, wait a minute, where did that come from? It's like, just in case. You got your little rubber ducky in the box and you're out of there, And you never saw it coming.
That's true. But in that situation, you have to weigh your options.
Yeah, that's true.
Like I remember one of my first, I'll say, it's times when I had a job and I actually pursued another opportunity. And the thing was, I had just received a huge increase in my salary.
Oh, wow.
So it was like, oh no, I just got this, promotion kind of, at least, my pay was about to go up, but I had this other offer. Now the thing is the other offer, I was actually going to lose probably about $20,000 in my salary, but I was kind of burnt out with the other job, and I was tired, I was frustrated, and I was like, you know what, is it really worth it? So I had to weigh all those options. Is it worth me staying there? As financially, can I afford to lose, $20,000 to pursue this other opportunity? And the thing was, actually, the new job, they knew my circumstance. They knew I was coming from a different company, and they actually offered to me. They're like, listen, we know you're about to lose, because we actually had a discussion, and they were like, we know you will lose money, if you take this opportunity. We want to make sure you are sure that this is the right decision you're making. And so we want to give you time to think about it. So that was a good thing that the other company offered. So they gave me like a couple weeks to actually think about it, while the offer stayed on the table. Yes.
So, I mean, to me, that would mean that you actually took time and prepared your speech, your goodbye speech to your boss ahead of time. And
not exactly. Not exactly. I still had anxiety, even though I thought about the other offer. I still had anxiety about how to let my old employer, know at that time.
I would believe the best thing to do is to take time to prepare your speech. I mean, even if you didn't in that certain situation, it's always best to take time to prepare ahead any speech that you're going to give the boss. Like, you don't want to go in there unprepared, because if you go in there and start stuttering,
yeah.
And then
I'm gonna
and your boss is looking at you like, what does this person?
Yes.
of things to do. You're still standing there looking at them like a deer caught in headlights, like, I wanted to talk to you about
That's true.
something. That's
You
just a
know,
waste of time. That's a waste of time and energy. It's always best to get your speech prepared ahead of time. This way you knock out all those kinks
oh,
and
definitely.
yeah,
Yes.
beforehand, and they're not looking at you like you're crazy, and you don't feel crazy, you know?
Hmm. And the other thing is you have to get all the facts about your new job. And like I
Oh,
said, in
sure.
my situation, I was like, okay, even though I'm losing all of this with the old job, what am I really gaining,
Yeah.
by going or moving on to this new opportunity? Yeah, my pay will be less, but actually it was actually giving me more free time.
Uh-huh.
With my other job, I didn't really have a lot of time to spend with family and actually do things that I wanted to do. But the new opportunity would allow me to have like a set schedule where I could actually plan now to do things I wanted to do personally, that it wouldn't interfere in life. So those were my positives, in making my decision a solid one, if I was to leave or not leave at the time. So like I said, you get all your facts, that for sure. Some people are like, yeah, I got a new job, but they don't know the schedule, or
Or
you
if
know
they're even gonna get the job, because I've had a situation where I was offered the job, and then they said, "Oh, we can't hire you right now." A situation came up where the employer came back or something like,
right.
that stuff happens, and
Hmm.
you're sitting there and looking like, boo boo, thinking, "Oh crap, I've already told my employer that I'm leaving. I'm out of here."
Right.
They even gave me the farewell speech and everything, and then you find out you're not even leaving. That's
Hmm.
awkward.
Oh, definitely. Or some people might go through the interview and they're like, "Oh yeah, I slammed that interview. I know I got that job." And they actually, asked me questions that seemed like I had the job already, but they never actually got or received an offer letter.
Right, and they're at
So,
desk, they're back at their old job, packing up their desk, like they're about to.
right.
The employees coming back, talking about, "Where you going?" "Oh, nothing. I'm just neatening up my desk area."
Hmm. Oh yes. I had one. Actually, I spoke with someone recently, and they actually quit their job,
Wow,
and because they got an offer with a new employer.
that's
The day
awkward.
that they were supposed to start, they got a call that that job was no longer on the table.
See,
Guess what they had to do? Call their old boss and go back.
back. Please take me back, please.
Yes. Oh yes.
I'm sure the
So,
boss love that. Groveling always helps.
right.
What's in it for me, lady?
Hmm.
Just take me back, please. Okay, so when you did finally tell your employer that you were out of there, did you do it confidently? That's the question. Or did you go in there stuttering?
Well, most definitely. I definitely, was confident because I knew exactly what I was doing at the time. I had plenty of time, of course, to think about all of my options and kind of come up with my own little strategy and plan. And part of mine was actually I was planning to work both of the jobs to help me with the transition.
Oh, that's
Because of course people know, when you leave one job, and this is one of the things about planning and knowing all of knowing all of the facts. Do you know when you will be paid when you first begin a job? Because that also helps with your budget. How do you transition financially from one job to another? Because usually there is a hold of what, two weeks, before you get paid.
sometimes three.
Sometimes three. That's right. So I knew that in my mind I had to prepare for that. And so what I did is I worked both of the jobs, up I think almost a month before I actually let one go. Well, I
Wow,
mean, let the old one go.
crazy.
Oh,
That's,
yes. It was very difficult now. Very difficult to do that because they were both full time. But I managed to be able to do it.
how did you do that? I mean, because how do you work two full-time jobs?
Well,
We take
I'll,
off lunch and then run to the other one and come back and say, "Oh, we're breaking." Run to the other one. I mean,
pretty much, honestly, pretty much. That's how it was. The good thing was I was a manager, so I could kind of schedule my own time.
wow.
And the new job started it was a day shift job. Since I was a manager and I had a really good team at the time, I actually schedule all my good people to work in the mornings. Sometimes I would run to the office, get everybody started for the day, step away and leave. Tell them I'll be back. I didn't tell them like, hey, I have a
Or
meeting
like tell
and
her,
stuff.
don't tell anybody I'm leaving. I'll be back.
Or hey, I have to go to a class, something like that on that line. So yeah, I would leave out and go work the other job, and as soon as that job is done, I would run back to the other office and do all the stuff I needed to do to maintain my job. Now, I'll tell you, it was stretching it, especially towards the end of that month,
When
where
you found out you really weren't at a class.
exactly, huh?
In the background.
Yes, because they were like, hey, people, sometimes people may call your job and like, hold on, we didn't know she was in a class. She didn't tell us she was in a class, and she needs to call us back right now.
It's so odd.
Yes.
Class schedule for today. What's going on?
So yeah, it started falling apart towards the end, but like I said,
thought you were the smartest person there. You were always in class.
Right. Oh, only if they knew, huh?
But she sure is industrious. She goes to every class out there.
Exactly.
Their behind was nowhere near that job. Down the street somewhere playing boss at some other job. You're
yes.
Crazy. I don't know if that's clever or just crazy.
Probably a little bit of both.
Yeah. Crazy. But I'm gonna give you 3 gold stars and a cookie for getting that far for 30 days.
Right.
Your boss. And to believe in you were there.
Yes. So when it kind of started questioning, I was like, all right, so this is it. Time is up. I need to just go ahead and let it go.
Time to cut it. But hey, you know what? That reminds me of the next thing is about burning your bridges. How not to burn your bridges. So
can't burn your bridges. And that was important to me.
Yeah.
I was like, I refuse to leave this job and with a bad name or reputation, so I was like, all right, so before it gets out of hand and, or someone finds out that I don't want to know, that I was, in class all this time,
right.
Quote unquote.
Girl on campus.
So yes, I actually, I did, go forward with proper communication. And, which I always tell people, always, if possible, please give a 2-week notice.
Exactly.
Please. Exactly. It's so important.
Not a 2-day, not a 2-hour.
No.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
And that's the best advice we could probably give somebody. I mean, that's
yes.
Even if your job doesn't require 2 weeks, give 2 weeks.
Yes.
I know they could fire you in 2 minutes and not give you any notice, but it's still good.
That's true.
Weeks to your boss when you're leaving, because you don't want to burn bridges.
No, not at all.
Yeah, so let's do that. Let them know what the deal is.
You have to.
As soon as you know about it, let them know what the deal is. Don't hesitate. Don't wait. Just tell them. Yeah, it's going to be painful because, like I said, you just don't know how they're going to respond sometimes.
Well, and people sometimes, or employees, do not always realize everything that is a part of their job and how it all interacts with the whole company. So there's usually things that need to be set in place to help, easily transition out of it and help, the company to be able to replace you or to be able to transfer your knowledge to someone else to be able to do your job. Because no matter what, that operation still has to go on, whether you're there or not.
Right. And also articulating your deepest appreciation. I mean, letting them know that you're grateful for the opportunity. Like, hey,
most definitely. Yes.
Thank you for hiring me, because I had like 10 interviews and nobody wanted me.
Mm-hmm.
And they think I was a loser. I mean, and you stepped up to the plate and took me in. Hey.
Exactly. It taught me everything I know up to this point. And some people take those little things for granted. Those little bitty tasks that you may have learned at one job, you might not appreciate the job, or you may not like the job, but that job got you that far, to that point in your life.
Yeah.
So
got you the skills you needed to lead them and go to the next job.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, so you got to be grateful. You got to be grateful for the opportunity, for the chance.
Yes.
You know how grateful you are too. That kind of cushions the blow that, hey, I'm out of here.
Yes.
I
And
like
it
you,
helps.
but I gotta go.
And like I said, it definitely helps management to be able to make a plan. And one of those plans usually, like I said, is to offer um where you as the employee have the opportunity to train that replacement person, because
Right.
that's critical. That's critical, and that makes everything, like I said, move along very seamless.
Yeah, if you can offer help, train your replacement. I mean, that's volumes. That says volumes about you,
Hmm.
that you're willing to put in the time to not only keep doing your work for 2 weeks, but also to go ahead and train your replacement for 2 weeks.
Exactly.
Get them up to date, get them caught up to everything that you're doing, so that once you leave, it'll be a smooth transition
Hmm.
out of your job and the person into your job. So,
Exactly.
yeah, that's the best thing. Now, while you're
Yes.
doing that, I would also advise you to not sit around talking to everybody about how I'm leaving now and I hate
Right.
the job. Like,
Yes.
stave off the gossip.
Mm-mm.
Don't have to go around telling everybody that you're leaving the job. Okay?
Unnecessary conversations, needs to be eliminated.
Yeah, the
If that's your
people
personal business, it's you don't need all of that. It's that's just too much going on, that kind of gets everybody off track, and of the focus of what you're trying to do.
Yeah, because like when you talk about like just I mean, even when you're training, I've heard people do that. When they're training somebody to replace them, they're actually bad mouthing the company while
Yes.
training the employees.
Oh
Yeah,
yes.
I'm going to teach you to do this, but this is the reason I'm leaving because this process, I don't like how they do.
Hmm.
I'm leaving, and then the new person's like, "What's wrong with this person?
Exactly.
Should I not like it too?"
Right. Is this company that bad?
Right?
They're gonna want to leave before they even get started.
Then next thing you know, they're asking you, "Well, where are you going again?"
Right.
Now they want to
Are
go.
they hiring?
I don't know if I should stay here. What's going on?
Exactly.
So you don't want to stop yourself from burning a bridge right off the bat.
Nope.
Don't tell everybody what's happening. Keep your
No.
business.
The only person that needs to know is management. And what you need to do is, try to always be professional with everything, with all the communication. Write a letter of resignation, and let them know everything that's going on, and when you are planning to resign. Like I said, let it be at least 2 weeks, even if it's more than that. They don't always have to give you longer than 2 weeks, but at least you let them know within 2 weeks you'll be leaving,
Yeah.
and open up that communication.
Right. And even if they don't require a 2 week notice, because some companies don't even require a 2 week notice, but written notice, I should say.
Right.
So, but a written notice just says you have class about yourself. You're
That's right.
such a classy person, you can write down that I'm leaving you.
Yes.
And not just talk about it. Even though it's good to personally walk into the office and always speak directly to the boss, being positive as possible and honest as possible.
Hmm.
But write it down, written resignation while you're sitting there. Don't write it down and then slide the paper across and say, read it.
Right.
Don't go that route.
And don't be like some of those people, that have, I guess, gotten on to social media, and they walked in and started rapping and singing that they're resigning right in the front of customers.
Or that commercial where the girl had a cake that says, I'm quitting.
Right.
I quit.
I love your creativity, but no. Let's try to remain professional at all times.
And civil. In today's society, man, people are on the edge. The last thing you want to do is do something funny where you're telling them you're walking out on them. They
Right.
may not take that too well.
No, especially not in the middle of rush hour, or a big job or something, or project.
Stop leaving sooner than you thought.
Exactly.
Speaking of that, let's discuss how to ease your way out the door. Because
Yes.
after you don't burn your bridge, you still have to get out of there in one piece, preferably. So how can they ease out the door without any problem? Just how can they make this transition as smooth as possible? And I know you can't make everything smooth because life is just, sometimes it's chaotic. But
Oh yes. And sometimes, you're asked to stay, with or without promises, of, maybe a bigger salary, or, but the thing is, you always have the option of saying yes or no. But, you want to also, like I said, be willing to assist, your employer to, during this process.
Yeah, because I have a family member that was on her way out the door. She had had enough. I mean, the place where she was working at the time was it was rough for her to deal with. There was a lot of issues going on, and it wasn't necessarily actually with the company itself. It was just the environment that she was working in. She couldn't take it anymore. It was I would say a hostile environment, and she wanted to be free. And as she had already received a job offer and everything from another company and stuff, and she was already, slated to be in that company within a week. And her company turned around and asked her, "Hey, what about if we give you like $30,000 extra? Would you stay for that?" I mean,
Right.
of course, that's an eye opener for some people.
Yes. Oh,
like,
yes.
It's a game changer, because for some people that could be double their salary or a third of their salary. I mean, that's a major increase considering. So yeah, I mean, don't play around with people. Don't sit there and tell them, "Hey, yeah, if I'll think about it. Let me think about that for a couple days and get back." Because it can create a lot of bad feelings,
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. But it is a way where you can negotiate. If that is your reason, for leaving, that's a good segue where you can have that conversation. If
Yeah.
it's open, if they open that and say, "Well, what can we do, to keep you?" And
Yeah.
then at that time, if
Sure.
that's your only reason, you love the company, you love the benefits, you love everything about it, you just weren't happy with your salary. And at the time, maybe you didn't know how to open that conversation, so you just sought, employment somewhere else. Then,
Yeah.
hey, yes, stay
Yeah.
there then.
That is a yes. But if it's a no, you just let them say, "I'm so sorry," and you let them know how much you'll miss them. I'm gonna miss you guys so much.
Right.
I really do. And then move on. Get your little box, sit down at your desk, do what you have to do.
Right.
Now, but the only thing is, when you got a boss that is just not having it, like you do all the things you're supposed to do. You give them the letter, you talk
Right.
calmly and peacefully, you're honest with them, you let them know everything's happening, and then you get that job offer and you tell your boss.
Sometimes it doesn't go well.
Right.
Sometimes you don't get that 2-week notice, and sometimes you're just immediately released from that job, dismissed from it, earlier than what you expected.
Some
Unfortunately,
people things well. That's the truth. They really don't.
I don't know. Take it personal.
Yeah, and all you can do is just gracefully get up and leave. I mean, it's not what can you do? I mean, you've already given 2-week notice, and they're just not happy, and they let you go. I mean, there's nothing you can do in that situation but to leave. You can't beg for let me work for 2 weeks. You can share the benefits of you working for 2 weeks. Let me wrap it up. But there's some employers who feel like that the employee who's leaving will sabotage them.
That's true.
They feel like if I let you stay here, you're gonna in some way somehow sabotage this business. So allow that. You're gonna have to go now. Of course, in our state, it's, you don't have to have a reason to let somebody go. So are you quitting at that point, or are you being fired?
Exactly.
You don't know. It's like I put in my notice to quit, but now I feel like I'm being fired.
That's true. And sometimes, you end up in a situation where I guess it's kind of a form of retaliation when people act out, or show their anger or disappointment that you're leaving. And sometimes you're having to endure, now someone almost really mistreating you because of your choices, to explore other options. I mean, it's not fair, and I don't condone it. But the thing is that, you have to always know, what's best for you. If you are, under pressure and someone is mistreating you, you still have, even if you're leaving in 2 weeks, you still have the right to bring that to someone's attention.
It's uncomfortable. You're sitting at your little cubicle minding your business, and every 10 minutes your boss is walking by and giving you a
right.
You're like, oh my
God. That side eye.
Yeah, you're like looking like, oh crap, should I leave early?
Right. Like, what did I do? Like you coming up with stuff like I must have did something wrong. Like you're doing your job right.
You know what you did. You told them you were looking, and now they're just not happy. They're just
No.
not happy with you at all. So
Mm-mm.
every chance they get, they're catching you. You catch that side eye if you're in the break room, if you're in your cubicle. I mean, it just, God forbid, your cubicle is directly across from where their office is, where you can see them, or you have those half cubicles where
Right.
you look up, and every time you look up, you see their face. You don't want it.
Yes.
And they're looking at you like, you dirty rat. I trained you and you're leaving me, I'm gonna train somebody new, and you feel like crap.
Oh yes.
That is not cool. That is not cool ever. But I mean, like, how do you deal with that when you have somebody that's angry at you because you're leaving, or disappointed with you because you're leaving?
Well, the thing is, you still have to understand, yes, some people are taking this personal, and it's not, even though it's directed to you,
Or
it's
it's not your fault. Yeah.
it's not right. It's not your fault. Like I said, you're pursuing, opportunities that are bettering your life, enhancing you and growing you, and you're reaching your goals. So that's really what you have to focus on. And the thing is, you just have to go in, do the job that you're supposed to do, as you've been doing before you put in your notice, and try to get through, with your whatever your scheduled last day is.
Yeah, and with your last bit of dignity.
Right.
It's uncomfortable when you have that feeling of eyes on the back of your neck.
Mm-hmm.
That is an uncomfortable feeling.
It is. It
You don't
really
even
is.
want to go to lunch at that point, because you feel like you go to lunch, you come back, somebody's sitting in your chair.
Right. You be looking around. Hey, did they put tacks in my chair?
Right? I know I sit in C4. What the heck? Who is this person? You don't know what's gonna happen. It's like they're already making moves behind your back.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But you know what? It's like, it's even worse when you have a boss that is never there, so you can't even tell him.
That's true.
Like, or her. Like, they're never around, or they're not open to conversation. Like, you can't approach them easily, or they're prone to being angry, like we talked about before.
Right.
Is mean, or you're afraid to be fired. I mean, all the whole combination of things. When you have a situation like that,
You have fears. Yeah.
yeah, when you have those fears that there is going to be retaliation, or the person's going to be mad at you. And this is real life situation.
It is.
Bosses
Very real.
can be rough sometimes. They can be harsh, and so a lot of times they don't even know they're being harsh to the employee. It's like, how do I deal with this? How do you tell somebody who's not around or not open to conversation that you're going to believe in them in 2 weeks, and it still be a good situation at the workplace?
You can't worry about if it will be good or not. You just have to do what you have to do. So that's when you go back, you write that letter. If you can't talk to them, you get that letter written and you hand that letter over. Hey, it's done. It doesn't have to be a conversation, about it. Other than that,
they're never there, or they keep their door closed. You can slide it under the door a little bit, slide it,
right,
just in case they're in there looking. If they can see you sliding the paper, and then you want to inch it in slowly, just in case they want to give them a chance to open the door and talk to you.
And you might have to have 2 copies printed, just in case that one copy I bet you some managers be like, they got a resignation letter and they ripped it up. Like, I'm not reading it. I'm not accepting this letter.
Go in there with a piece of paper, standing at the door with take a little selfie of yourself, me handing
right. Like, this is proof I handed in my resignation 2 weeks ago.
And once you've left the job, then post it. No, I'm just kidding. This is how I quit, y'all.
Exactly.
This is the way to do it. No, that is not the way to do it. We do not advise that.
No.
That is the worst way. Because quitting can be hard no matter what the circumstances are. So just try to be grateful, polite, honest, and helpful as much as you can to make the situation go easier.
That's right. And follow any policies that are set in place for your company, in the event you do have to quit. That's one thing I will always say, even if it's things that we are telling you that are customary, but if your company has particular policies, like sometimes there might be one where it may be less than 2 weeks that you give a notice, or sometimes it's more than 2 weeks that your policy has. So follow whatever your company policies are, no matter what.
Yeah, I totally agree. Well, that's all the time we have for today, but we'll speak to you guys soon in our next episode of The Human Employee.
Love this episode of the Human Employee Podcast? We'd love for you to subscribe, give a thumbs up, and leave a comment on YouTube. For free resources and materials, you can connect with us at thehumanemployee.com. Don't forget to sign up to our newsletter to receive updates, bonuses, and giveaways. It's very much appreciated. Thank you for tuning in. See you at the next episode.